Welcome to a new innovative strategy brought to you by AYUDA, the nonprofit organization here in the region of San Elizario and El Paso, bringing you something innovative to connect with the community. We're starting this new pilot program of a podcasting to try new ways, a new strategy to connect with you at home and be able to share the history, the background, tell the amazing stories that happen in this community, and what AYUDA has done to empower the community. And as we like to call it, these are the voices of AYUDA, empowering our community for the betterment of all. I'm your host for today, Felipe Romero, and I have the honor and the privilege of being next to the executive director of AYUDA, a nonprofit organization here in the region of San Elizario and El Paso. Miguel, how are you doing today?
Well, I'm doing great. Thanks for your invitation, Felipe. This is, like you said, it's a very important day for AYUDA because this is the first trials, the first time that we are making this for the community. This is a new project. This is a pilot project that, thanks to your input and thanks that we cross our ways and we share this idea. And now this is the beginning of something new that is happening in our community, like you say, from AYUDA to the community.
Miguel, AYUDA has a tremendous amount of history, almost 27 years to be exact, where it started. Tell us about the history and the background of how AYUDA came about in San Elizario.
Well, like you said, AYUDA was founded in 1996. And the beautiful thing about AYUDA is that it was founded by Colonia immigrant women of El Paso County. As you know, Olivia Figueroa, another executive director of the organization, she's one of our founders. They started this movement, because they wanted to have services in the colonias of San Elizario. And one of the most important things that they were lacking back in 1996 in the community was potable water and septic tanks or sewage. So they started this movement and they started gathering every weekend or after work hours to advocate for this type of services in the colonias of San Elizario, Texas. So this is how it started. And this is who I am and who we are now as an organization. So everything started with this for advocating for the needs of our community, and this is how we continue doing it. Right now, we are an organization of 22 employees. We have presence in more than 5 counties here in the state of Texas, mostly from the border with Mexico. But we also have an office in Austin, Texas, where we have done mostly direct assistance programs. But, I came to AYUDA 15 years ago, and I started to work there as an accountant, bookkeeper. But then, with my background experience that I had, I started to work in a program that they had, and it was in a dormant way, because they didn't have anyone back then to run the program. So I started to learn about it, and the program is the home program that we have, and we still have it. It's one of our biggest programs that we have in our organization right now, which is the home program with Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs. Then after implementing that program for a few years, different other programs started to come to the organization, and mostly on the housing side. And as well as what Olivia Figueroa has always done, which is the advocacy programs and social justice for our community. So we have right now a very extended carpet or portfolio of programs that go from housing, advocacy, social justice, veteran affairs assistance, water and sewage programs. We still do have programs with the EPA that targets septic tanks, or the food pantry with the food bank that we have also every other Thursday. So, yeah, we have a lot of programs.
So many programs.
Yes.
And Miguel, I want to take a dive back into the onset of AYUDA. Ms. Figueroa was telling us, there's 7 founders initially, all women,
Yes.
in the community of San Elizario, and that started in 1996. And then you came on later on, but you came
Yes.
on through a very difficult time
Yes.
for AYUDA, where I believe AYUDA didn't know if it was continue to exist. And
Exactly.
I want to kind of get into your mind a little bit.
Okay.
Because a lot of people, almost like you're a firefighter, right? You run into the fire
Yes.
rather than away from it. Why? Why did you go into an organization knowing that they were almost at the verge of being in non-existent,
business. Yes,
and you
exactly.
doubled down and said,
Yes.
"I want to be here." Why?
Well, first of all, it was because it was back in 2009. And as you probably know, is when our nation was going through a housing crisis. So I was one of the ones that their mortgage had a balloon. So I ended up paying like $2,200. And back then in 2008, for me and for most of the Americans, it was a lot of money that I needed to have and find a part-time job. I and I still have that job still. I do also work for the Alliance of Border Collaboratives. Back then, our name was U.S.-Mexico Border Health Association. That was my full-time job. But I needed a part-time job, so that's because I didn't want to lose my house. So a friend of mine told me, "Oh, yeah, I know another organization, Miguel. They are also a nonprofit," because my background and my experience is on the nonprofit section as an administrator, as an accountant. So I went there, and I had Olivia and Gloria Renivas on that time, who was the executive director. They both interviewed me, and the exact same day, I got hired as a part-time bookkeeper. But the organization back then, back in the 2008, our budget was only $150,000. Our biggest funder back in that time was with the Margaret Casey Foundation, and those monies were used to advocate for justice services and justice for minorities, and that's what Olivia Figueroa was doing. So if you ask me why, well, the need existed. I wanted it to keep my house. I didn't want to lose it. So, but when I learned that they have this open contract with Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs, and also I'm gonna mention his name here. I met Mr. Albert Alvidres, who is being an advocate. He's an advocator for the community of Socorro and the community of San Elizario. When he found out that I was working for AYUDA, he recommended me to put my hands on this contract, and that I needed to work. That it was a beautiful contract that was gonna be helping the community. So I did. I followed not his orders, but his recommendations and his teachings, because he taught me a lot about how to work with Texas Department of Housing and how to implement these type of programs. So after that, everything started to grow little by little. It was kind of like a blessing, and it's a golden rule, right? Because we started to help more people, and more aid and more assistance started to come to AYUDA. So from $150,000 budget right now in 2023, we closed our budget with $5.5 million. So everything, why? Well, I wanted it to help, and I wanted to help myself to keep my house. Fortunately enough, I was able to keep that house, and but we have able to also build more than 100 single-family homes and rehabilitate, as of right now, more than 220 homes. So,
Miguel, are you from the area?
I'm not from here. I'm from Cuauhtémoc, Chihuahua.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And what got you here?
Well, they need as well. They need to come from to find a job. You got me there. When I finished high school in Mexico, of course, I was going also again. We were back in 1993. Mexico was going through one of the biggest depression they had. My family lost everything, and I was just a teenager. I needed to find a job. I wanted to help my family to overcome the situation, and that's why I immigrate here to the United States.
You come from, and that I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you to make you emotional, but I think it's important because you don't talk a lot about yourself. Ms. Figueroa talked highly about you and how you were able to have a positive and immediate impact for AYUDA and the community of San Elizario and El Paso. And I think the community deserves to get to know you a little bit more, because it wasn't just given to you. You had to work. You're an immigrant, and right now where we have a very political climate in terms of immigration, you're one of the ones that the positive stories, they were able to, humble beginnings and have a positive and immediate impact here for the community. I know you moved around. You went to, you were bouncing around from New Mexico to Colorado, and you were a waiter. You were a
I went to California first, and I started there as a dishwasher, and also I was having a part-time job at the same time at Burger King at the kitchen, of course, because I couldn't speak the language yet. I always had 2 jobs. I still have 2 jobs. Never stop having 2 jobs. So then, after being there for a year, Felipe, I went to Colorado, and I stayed there for 4 years, and I went to live in the beautiful town of Bell, where I also started working even in construction. Felipe, I don't want to talk about this. Woo. And I started then in a warehouse tagging clothes and merchandise, and I'm gonna say the name of the store because I'm very grateful to the Gorsuch family that for 4 years gave me a job, knowingly that I was illegal. And Felipe, really.
You started, again, from humble beginnings, and you worked your way up. And the reason I bring this up, because from 1996 till now, when you got into in 2007,
I got here in 1996. Yeah.
But when you started with
AYUDA, it was in 2009. 2009.
With your assistance and with the amazing staff that you have, around $23 million of grants, government grants, have been brought to the community of San Elizario, El Paso.
Yes.
Have been directly invested to help over 1,800 homes, families in needs of assistance.
Yes.
So I think that's something that's meaningful, that has a huge impact, because as you mentioned, you came from Chihuahua to help your parents in need.
Yeah.
You came over here, not only did you help your parents in need, but you said no, you doubled down to help your families, to help the families here in the region. How does that make you feel?
Honestly, my philosophy or my set of mind is that I don't prefer to think of how much or how well I've been doing or how much people I have assisted or helped, because I prefer to think that I still have to do a lot. Like I said, I always try to keep myself busy and try to keep myself working on something, because there's still a lot of need out there. There's still a lot of families, there's still a lot of immigrants out there that they're still waiting for help and for assistance, for education, to have the opportunity that I had, and that God, or whatever you want to believe, right? But since I came to this country, little by little, I found people that was willing to help me out. A manager, an owner of a business or something, another immigrant that was in some. I always have friends in kitchens. Growing and living in Colorado wasn't easy, because it's a very costly living, and immigrants like myself, which we all work in kitchens. I remember I used to also work. I had a lot of jobs there in Bell, but when I was working in a shoe store as a salesman, when I started to don't speak both languages, especially this huge Jew guy hired me as a salesman because he wanted to help the Mexico City clients that they had there in Vail. Very wealthy families go there. So when he met me, I met his daughter working with the Gorsuches at the warehouse. So she called his dad and said, "Hey, I met this Mexican man that works with us in the warehouse, but he looks like a good Mexican." And that's what they said. So he interviewed me, and yeah, he gave me the job, and I worked with him for two years, and I learned beautiful things about the Jew community with him. Mr. Rosenthal is his name. He still have this shoe store there, but he now lives in Scottsdale. But I learned that we needed to be together. I remember running throughout the kitchens, throughout those restaurants in Vail, and they all, used to give me, the food, the leftovers. That's how we used to eat. All my community, the immigrants, that's how we helped each other there when I was working there, and it was tough. So when I came back to El Paso, I decided to come back here because my dad called me one day and he's like, "Hey, mijo, I don't want you to be up there as an illegal all the time. You need to do like your sisters. You need to get a degree." Both of my sisters got a degree from colleges in Mexico, right? But by then I had already 4 years in Colorado, and I didn't want to come back to Mexico. I didn't want to go back there. I enjoy and learn the American culture. I have a lot of American, friends up there from Maine, from Montana, people of my age that were, working there as well, because they wanted to do the skiing, the snowboarding. They were skiers, snowboarders. The culture back then in the 90s was beautiful in the mountains in Colorado, so I wanted to stay there. But then my dad says, "No, I want you to come back and do, please do a degree." So I told him, "You know what? Yeah, I would love to do that, but I would like to do it here in the States." And he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna sell my ranch, and if I do, and if I'm able to pay you for your college in Texas, would you come back?" And I was like, "Yes." So he did. He did sell his ranch, and then I came, and I remember when I came back here, I used to hate it. To be honest, I love the mountains. Cuauhtémoc is a town in the middle of, or the beginning of the Sierra Madre in Chihuahua, so it's green, with mountains around. So I wanted to stay up in Colorado. So I remember when I got here from bus. I didn't have a car, so after an overnight trip, my parents picked me up at the bus station here in El Paso, and I was like, as soon as I stepped down the bus, I was like, I'm just gonna stay here in El Paso while I study. After that, I'm gonna go back to Colorado. Yeah. And my mom is like, I don't care if you go back to Colorado, I just want you to have a degree. So that's what I did. I finished my degree, but before finishing my degree
in accounting.
In accounting,
okay.
Mm-hmm, I found this job, and that was a nonprofit, that it was affiliated to the Pan American Health Organization, and that's how everything started. That's how I ended up doing what I'm doing. I met the right people, like I said. God always put the right people in my way. That taught me everything that I do now, from accounting to writing and implementing federal and state programs.
How many programs has AYUDA brought to the community here of San Elizario and El Paso?
I want to say from pilot programs to actual, big programs or statue programs, around 22 programs. Yes. And right now we have 12 active programs, from pilot programs to statue and big programs.
What is the one thing that you feel is vital, or that you feel that that AYUDA does really, really well in terms of connecting with the community?
Well, when I remember when I was driving my first time to San Elizario, one of the first things that I started to talk with Gloria and with Olivia was that I thought that I was working in Mexico, or that I was what time, or I crossed the bridge and I didn't notice crossing the bridge, because there were a lot of infrastructure needs, and a lot of decapitated mobile homes or single family homes that you probably think back then it looked pretty similar than the colonias in Mexico. So when I started to see what Olivia and Gloria and the other women that were there as either as volunteers or as a staff, is when I learned that this was a different type of organization that I have never worked before. Because while I was working on the U.S.-Mexico Border Health or the Pan American Health Organization, those organizations were more technical, or more into the public health outreach, but more into the academia side to teach the constituents, the community, on how to prevent certain diseases, right? But AYUDA is different. AYUDA, what they do, which we still do those programs, educational outreach programs, but we focus more on either direct assistance, advocating for social justice, because we have a lot of cases of domestic violence as well in our community. So we get to talk and see the problem. But most importantly, in our housing programs, we see the change and the beginning and the ending of the story with a brand new single family home, which, when a family doesn't have a home, or they are in a situation of being evicted or homeless, and when you provide a single family or a rehabilitation, the culture and the environment that those kids are going to be growing is going to be totally different than a kid that doesn't have a place to live. So helping the community with the first necessity, which is a roof where to live, I was able to see that these programs and this organization was making a first-hand impact to the community. So that's where I fall in love with AYUDA, especially with these women that they were attacking problems from food, health, mental health, and first necessity services. So it's when I fall in love with the organization, because I got to see the real impact, a tangible product. Whereas these other organizations where I have worked, I'm not saying that it's not important. It's more educational. It's hard to evaluate it, or to see a tangible product of something that you just teach, rather than bringing a family from the streets, or helping them from eviction or foreclosure to keep their homes. You see the happiness is different, but it's beautiful. Both things are beautiful, but I'm more into housing. I fall in love with housing, so that's why I'm still there.
Tell us a little bit about the promotora model that it's basically your bread and butter to really connect with the community. And it's something, we're here using technology to connect with the audience, but you still haven't forgotten the roots of the high touch opportunities to connect with the community.
Well, as you know, Felipe, this is also something that AYUDA has taught me, has opened my eyes on how still, even though we live in the United States, and when we think that everyone has a computer, everyone has access to a cell phone, a smartphone, you would think that everyone has access to the information as I do or you do, right? But we learned the hard way through the pandemic that that's not the case, right? That this model that Olivia Figueroa, Gloria, on these promotoras, these community health workers, because that's what they are, they put this organization together, but they also put this mentality, this effort of going door to door to inform and to spread the information that is given to them on how to, create awareness or to invite people to participate in different initiatives. So this is pretty much what the Promotora model does. The Promotoras is a grassroots movement that they go, they engage, they invite their members, or active members of the community, that their task is to generate engagement, to generate trust, to generate, because they are members within the same community. So this is what the Promotora model represents. So like I said, after the pandemic or during the pandemic, we learned that even though with all this assistance and all this aid that President Biden was releasing, the monies were still sitting there. So what we learned through it is that we needed, that people were lacking of informative devices that now are considered basic needs. So what happened is that different other organizations after us and me and my writer, we started to write and to send programs and to start bringing these monies down and demonstrate different other entities how we can really disperse these funds, these assistance, using methods that we thought were, antique or old, because we have all this technology now. But during the pandemic, we learned that not everyone has a cell phone, not everyone has a computer, or not everyone knows just English, that we needed to have actual members of our community distributing this information, going to each of these single doors to really find the least likely to apply, the persons that we think that their sons, their grandsons will let them know about the assistance. But unfortunately, we all busy having two, or like I have always had, two jobs. We don't have time to go and call my grandma to say, hey, my grandma, there's this assistance. No, so we have learned the hard way that we still need the promotoras and that we still need to engage with the community to be able to disperse and to give all this assistance that right now still exists out there. So this is what the promotora does.
What would Miguel in 2024 tell Miguel in 2009 when you started this?
The same thing that I say to the old Miguel from 2009 and the old Miguel when he was a child. Don't be afraid. You can do it.
What does success mean to you?
Peace. To be able to sleep at night, that's for me success.
And what are the last words you want to give the community of San Elizario and El Paso in terms of this new innovative program?
Well, to contact us, first of all, because this is for you guys, this is for the community. Everything that we do at AYUDA is for the community. So please start sending inquiries to use this technology. You guys have heard me, what I said. I mean, not everyone has a computer. Not everyone has a device. Not everyone can have access to a translator. This space, this studio, this pilot program is for you. Please come to us. We would love to spread whatever idea you have. The name that we came out to for this studio is El Nido. I don't have to explain that, but it's just an incubator of ideas. So as crazy as you might think that the idea is, come and share with us. We would like to know. We would like what is happening in our community. Maybe you don't know. You have $1 million idea and you don't know. So that's why I invite you to come and talk to us, talk to me, and we will be more than happy to put it up in the air for you.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in on this pilot series of new podcasts that we want to bring to the community here in this beautiful region of San Elizario and El Paso to connect with you. Felipe Romero signing off, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you.